our culture before Hinduism and Buddhism. The main sources for my study are Lichibi inscription and Gautamavajra Vajracharya, the famous Gautamavajra Vajracharya, which is written in Sanskrit and also in Newar, and Newar translation of Amar Kosha. Amar Kosha is Sanskrit text, but it has been translated into Newar by multiple scholars, and their interpretation of Sanskrit word is very interesting. And then, if you use all this material to study this Newar calendar, we find many interesting things. Newar calendar is now published, in print, but before publication, they used to be handwritten like this one. Only priest or the Brahmin and a Buddhist priest have this kind of handwritten calendar, which was called Panchanga. And then usually Buddhist priests in their temple, they have a blackboard. Every day the Newar priest write it down the significance of that day on that blackboard. And so only this day we have printed version of calendar. But there are about 200 copies of handwritten calendar in the collection of National Archives. I find them very useful, that handwritten old Newar calendar. Today I will be discussing several festive rituals. I call them festive rituals. It is ritual but related to festival, several of them. One of them is called Shilacharya, which is also known as Shivaratri, the night of the Shiva. Then another ritual closely related to that Shiva's night is Mahacharya. It is related to underground fertility god. And then I also like to talk about the frog hymn and the significance of the frog hymn and frog worship at the beginning of the rainy season. And then I would like to discuss so-called Indra Jatra, the festival of Indra. Mahacharya literally means the 14th day of underground. Paha means underground. In classical Newari word, you will see used only in some word like the frog hidden under the ground is called Paha Bya, that means underground frog. And similarly, the insect who hide inside the ground is called Pahanki. So we know that Paha means underground. And on this day, on the day of Mahacharya, the festive ritual, we worship a god who is identified as Shiva, but he is always buried under the ground. Sometimes this so-called Shiva is in the pit where they collect Manu. He is actually the god of Manu. Manu means fertility. Yes, it smells really bad for us, but for a farmer, Manu is almost like money. So you will find this god, so-called Shiva, hidden under the Manu. But that god is also known as Luku Mahadyo. What is Luku? I don't know. Yeah, often it is translated as hidden Shiva, but Luku is Nepali word, not Newari word. Very likely this is derived from Lakhu, which means the junction. And yes, it is true that sometimes we find that shrine of hidden Shiva, so-called hidden Shiva, on the junction, on the crossroad of Newar villages. This is four-faced Shiva. The modern day Pasupatinath temple, the Pasupati Shiva, enshrined in Pasupatinath temple, pretty close to this Shiva. This is in the collection of a French collection, Solomon family collection, on which I am working. Very likely, the very first Chaturmukh of Shiva, four-faced Shiva, established by King Amsubarma, look like this one. But if you study the story of this Pasupati, we know almost for sure that originally Pasupatinath temple was not exactly Shiva, but he was a god, Newar god of underground, subterranean fertility god. According to Gopal Vangshabali and Newar translation of Amara Kosha, Nipa or Nepa was the very first Newar, and he had a cow, and the name of his cow is Bahuri. Interesting name, non-Sanskrit name, Bahuri. And the Bahuri cow, the neighbor saw his cow going to a particular place every single day, and then that cow milk herself, sprinkle her milk in a particular place almost every single day. And the neighbor, the owner of the Bahuri cow, was watching it, and so he became curious. What is this? What is inside this ground that this my cow is offering milk every single day? So he dig. When he dig, he found Pasupatinath image according to Shiva Linga he found inside the ground. And this is the story. But this story that Shiva being under the ground is pretty close to Newar worship of that Luku Mahadyo, or the god of Paha, the underground so-called Shiva, underground fertility god. This is Amsubarma's coin, in which that cow is shown with a baby, right? And this cow is identified with inscription as Kamadori. Sanskrit name Kamadori, which means milking whatever you want. You can milk, if you milk, how to translate, you self-milking cow, in a sense. It had double meaning, as a matter of fact. Self-milking cow, also she milks whatever you want. That is Kamadoi, right? But that Kamadoi, the cult of Kamadoi continued even in medieval period. According to Amara Kosha, Newar translation of Amara Kosha, the Newari word for Kamadoi is Bahuri. So Kamadohi and Sanskrit word Kamadohi and Bahuri in essence is synonym. But in same Amarkosh translation, Bahuri is also translated as good quality cow. Ringo Sha. So Kamadohi is a name of a particular cow, but also the name of a good quality cow. In this Newar inscription, the same Kamadohi is mentioned as Bahuri. This is 18th century Newari inscription. But this one was found near the Swayambhu temple, that grazing ground currently known as Chhauni, the Chhauni Museum, the grazing place for cows. In this inscription, it says that this image of cow, it doesn't mention Bahuri, but this image of cow is made for the fertility of this grazing ground. Clearly says that Gautamavajra Vajracharya, the grazing ground of the cow, is mentioned in there. So this is what I believe, that this Bahuri is a pre-Lichavi culture. Bahuri is a cult. Bahuri cult is older than Lichavi period. And then when the Sanskritized people, Lichavi, came, they identified that cow as Kamadohi. What is the meaning of Bahuri, we do not know, but certainly the name of the cow before it was Sanskritized was Bahuri. Because the story of Bahuri is so closely related to underground Shiva, we can connect this story with Mahacharya always also. See, this is Luku Mahadyo. In springtime, this so-called Shiva, Luku Mahadyo or Luku Mahadyo, is worshipped, and it is mandatory to offer some vegetation that grows around that time. Most of the time, this pit, this shrine is covered with dirt. Sometimes this pit is covered with manure. It is covered, and then all the dirt you put on top of it, including umbilical cord. When you have baby, you cut the umbilical cord, you throw away on top of the Shiva's down. Inside there is a so-called Shiva, but under this place is the place around this Shiva is also called Swasa. Swasa is a place, usually Swasa is around crossroad. And all the dirts are compiled there. Very likely this so-called Shiva is a god of Manu, the deity of Manu. This I found in Morocco. This doesn't have any inscription, but near Arekha I found a stone almost like this. This one is not buried anymore, but this is Lichavi period stone. This is a 7th century stone sculpture. It has inscription around it. Lichavi period inscription. According to that inscription, this stone is Parthiva Sila. It doesn't say God. For the punya of my father and mother, I established this Parthiva Shila. That means the earthen stone, or you can translate the underground stone. This is This is Newar Luku Mahadyo for sure. This is not underground anymore, but if you compare this Parthiva Shila with Newar Luku Mahadyo, you become very sure that this is not exactly Shiva, but Newar Luku Mahadyo. This is from Bhaktapur. On the day of Shivaratri, they worship this underground Shiva. In Kathmandu, underground Shiva is worshipped in the month of Chaitra, but in Bhaktapur, the underground Shiva is worshipped exactly 1 month ahead. Very likely they are same god and worship in different period of time. Like Varsha Bhasa. But this Varsha Bhasa can be either in the month of Ashar and Shravana. The same way, very likely the worship of this underground Shiva either in the month of Chaitra, either in the month of Phalguna or in the month of Chaitra. So this is one example. That was one example of Sanskritization of Newar culture. I gave similar lecture in Kathmandu, but I was not brave enough to talk about Pasupati being a Newar deity. So I skipped that part of my lecture in Nepal, but I feel much more fear at Harvard. I am free to say what I really believe, what my research is trying to say. What I'm trying to say that the Pasupati Shiva was not Pasupati Shiva, but it was a Newar deity of underground Manu, fertility deity. Manu, god of Manu. In Vedic text, Lakshmi, the goddess Lakshmi, is described as Karishi. That means full of Manu. Karisha is Manu. Lakshmi is the goddess. Originally, Lakshmi was the goddess of Manu. Manu means fertility. Fertility means the wealth. Right? Same way, here we worship the god of Manu as a god of fertility. And if I say this, Pasupatinath was originally god of Manu, they're going to kill me. So I didn't say anything about it. Another important day that I would like to discuss today is frog worship. Newar frog worship. The discovery of the significance of frog worship is closely related to my life. What happened before I came to United States toward the end of 1974? I had never been outside South Asia. Never been away from Nepal and India. In India, I have been to Banaras, Calcutta, New Delhi, like that, but never been Indian out of Indian subcontinent. So all of a sudden, I landed in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is warm, but California doesn't rain much. It rains maybe about 10 days. 10 days in a year. One day I was walking from my apartment to Los Angeles County Museum of Art. It rained. It rained so much that I was completely, my whole body was completely wet. My friends who work at the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, they dive to the parking lot, and even it is raining, no problem. But I have to walk about 15 minutes, but within that time, it rained so hard that I was completely wet. And so I was a little bit embarrassed. And so I thought that rainy season is just begun. Next time, I went to office with an umbrella and a raincoat. And my boss and my guru, Pasupatinath, why you are bringing raincoat and umbrella? And said, yesterday it rained so much. I said, no, Gautama, we don't have rainy season. Okay, that's the very first time I learned that this place is quite different from the place I came from. In Hanuman Dhoka, there is a map of the world by Pratap Malla. It is a disc, circular disc, and Pratap Malla has given the name of the entire world in that disc. And according to him, Bharatavarsha is one country, and then there are many other countries given in the Meru Varsha, Kanaka Varsha, Hemanta Varsha. All this country is named after monsoon. Bharatavarsha means rain monsoon, monsoon land, right? So according to Pratap Malla, there will be no country without monsoon. Right? I was just like that. I was not familiar with it. And then after staying in Los Angeles about almost 4 years, then I moved to Wisconsin. Wisconsin is quite different from Los Angeles, quite different from Kathmandu. Right? And then it snows a lot. Actually, more than 6 months it is cold out there. And then it snows a lot, and then after the snow melt, immediately after snow melt, frogs started croaking. That I found really interesting. It's an interesting phenomena. In Nepal and India, frogs start croaking after the drought is over, just the beginning of rainy season. Right? But out there, just after the snow melt. And that's the time I was working on Rigvedic frog hymn. And so I began to study the Rigvedic frog hymn, and the frogs helped me to classify the culture of the world into two groups: estivation culture and hibernation culture. The region where frog hibernate and start croaking just after the hibernation is over. Around there, hibernation culture becomes popular, but in India and Nepal, frogs start croaking after estivation, and Nepal and India has estivation culture. So hibernation culture and estivation culture. Hibernation culture usually worships sun god. But in estivation culture, mainly worship rain god. That helped me a lot, but But this frog worship in Kathmandu in the month of the Shravana, around that time, rainy season is almost over. Frogs start croaking just after rainy season begins, and that's why it's described in the Rig Veda. But the frog worship, Newar frog worship, and Rig Vedic frog worship is very close. But we have frog worship in Shravan when the rainy season is almost over. This is the time in Saku they have Vapiya Jatra, which means rice planting festival. Rice planting is almost 2 months before the festival, but they do rice planting festival. They celebrate rice planting festival around Shravani, which I find very interesting, because the seasons and the name of the month has been changed. It is difficult to explain, because Shravani used to be Shravani month. The month of Shravani used to be the beginning of the rainy season in Vedic period. That's the time the grasses become fresh and green, that we know from Vedic literature. But now, grasses become fresh and green 2 months before, not in the Shravani, but around Ashara month, or month of Jeshta, Ashara, Shravan. So the season and the name of the month is very different now. The study of frogging also helped me to understand Newar ritual, other Newar ritual. Newar called their year Dasa. Newar month. This is the thing. The word Samvatsara, this is about the Sanskrit word Samvatsara, which is used in the Veda. Samvatsara has double meaning. Samvatsara is a year, but Samvatsara also means 10 lunar months. Although Samvatsara means a year, whenever this word Samvatsara is used in the context of pregnancy of a cow, pregnancy of a human being, Samvatsara used as a synonym with 10 lunar months. It says Samvatsare Vatsa Jata. At the end of the Samvatsara, a child is born, or Dasame Mase, the child in the 10th month, 10th lunar month, a child is born. And so Samvatsara originally it means only 10 lunar months. Newars, even now, the Newari, in Persian inscription, ancient Persian inscription or Darius, the month before the snow melt, the winter month before the snow melt is called Anamaka. In the inscription, the Darius inscription, Anamaka simply means no name month. The winter month inactive, so they gave the name for the winter month, Anamaka, no name month. Newars if you study Newar culture closely, you still find that concept hidden in Newar culture. For example, on the day of Puja, on the New Year, Nepal New Year's, it is mandatory to have a wick to burn a oil lamp. Or you have the oil lamp, and then you have to have really long and thick wick during their worship. That wick, did you understand what I mean? The oil lamp wick. That wick, in Sanskrit text, of Newar Sanskrit text, the wick was called anamaka. Anamaka wick. So very likely the Newar years begin from the month of Kartika, and then after 10 lunar months, in the month of Shravani, the 10th lunar month is completed, and then after Shravan, after rainy season, 1 or 2 months is Anamaka. And then on the day of New Year's Day, they burn the wick because that Anamaka period is over. As a matter of fact, this idea of 10 lunar month is derived from the culture of the cow culture. As we know from Gopala Vamshavali, Newars, before they were Sanskritized, before the Lichi period, they were cowherd, Gopala, right? Even Gopala Vamshavali name after Gopala. These cowherds, the cowherd culture of Newar is still with us. If you study Newar culture very carefully, we see multiple aspects of cowherd culture. We are still using it. For example, the Kartika month was important for cowherd, not only for Newar but also Vedic people, for the impregnation of cow. A cow can conceive any time of the year. But Vedic people and also Newar thought that if a cow conceives in autumn, in the month of Ashwina or Kartik, the cow will be giving birth a calf just before rainy season. And then when the rainy season begins, the cow and the baby calf both have plenty of green vegetation. So what they did in the month of Ashwina or in the month of Kartika, in autumn, they perform a ritual called Vishosarga, release of bull. Vishosarga means release of bull. What they do, they kept the bull away from the cow. Most of the time, they kept the bull away from the cows, and then in the month of Ashwina or Kartika, they release the bull so that the cow can conceive in autumn. So when the cow conceives in the month of autumn, the calf is born just before the rainy season. And this is why we have Lakshmi Puja or cow worship, what do you call it? Sapuja in autumn, Sapuja in autumn, and then exactly 9 months, 10 days, 9 lunar months, 10 days, we have Sapal or cow festival immediately after frog worship. Frog worship on the day of the full moon day, and then next day we have Saparu, worship of the Saparu, which is the cow festival. If you count from cow worship, autumnal cow worship, to the festival cow at the beginning of rainy season, exactly the time of the pregnancy. 9 lunar months plus 10 days, 10 or 20 days. So we know that Lakshmi Puja or cow worship of autumn and cow festival that take place immediately after frog worship are interrelated. But the problem is fresh gas. Fresh gas is available in Nepal or also in many of time because the month and the season has been changed. These are the key words. Both these are Indras. This is from Solomon family collection. We know this is Indra for two reasons. He holds thunderbolt and he also has vertical, horizontal eye. So he's Indra for sure. And then this particular image has inscription, and this is Lichibi inscription, 7th century inscription. This 7th century inscription refer to the Newar festive ritual Yamana. This image was donated to a Buddhi on the day of Yamana Puni, which is the day of Indra Jatra. So we know that already in the 7th century, Kathmandu did have Indra festival. But in Kathmandu, we have a very interesting iconography of Indra, something that we do not see anywhere in India. Indra seated, sometimes standing, stretching both hands. And we know he is Indra again because he has horizontal eye. And this god again displayed during the autumnal festival called Yanapuni. This is the detail of the inscription. Here is the name. Compare this scarecrow Indra and this Indra. But I'm trying to say that the origin of this peculiar iconography of Indra derived from scarecrow Indra. Sometime in Bhaktapur, we see not only Bhairava and Indra, but a solar god, a solar disk. We know it is solar disk because the rays of sun is scallop motif, as we know from Kushan period, Mathura sculpture. The sun rays is symbolically represented in the halo of the gods as a scallop motif. That scallop motif is still continued in Bhaktapur, and it is a sun god, solar disk. I think I do have an example of this. Here, this is the Mathura. Around the beginning of Christian era, the Sanskritized people like Lichibi began to come to Kathmandu Valley. They gradually Sanskritized the name of the gods. Not only the name of the gods, also the place name. One after another, they Sanskritized the name like Palancho, Newar Palancho became Sanskritization of Newar, even that Sakhu became Sankhapur, like that. Sanskritization began, and then the original Newari name gradually disappeared. But if you study carefully, we still can find pre-Buddhist, pre-Hindu Newar name, Newar gods, and still prevalent in Newar culture. I found Vedic study important because Vedic study in Vedic text includes not only Indo-Iranian idea, but also monsoon culture. The Vedic people came from the place where there was no monsoon, but beginning from Rig Veda, we began to see, like from him, we began to see familiarity of monsoon culture of Vedic people. So the Vedic literature has two parts, monsoon culture and Indo-Iranian aspect. That the monsoon culture that we find in Vedic literature is very helpful for understanding the Newar culture. Compare that monsoon culture found in the Vedic literature with Newar culture, you will see multiple times, you will see similarity like frogging, like that the cow concepts of release of the bull, Vishwasarga ritual, which is still discernible in our culture. Before I came to United States, I studied Sanskrit. I was not interested in Vedic study at all, but while working in Los Angeles County Museum of Art, I began to study Kumar Swami and Stella Thomas' book. They constantly use Vedic literature to explain Indian and Nepalese artwork, but how Vedic literature is related to classical period Indian art, they didn't have any answer, because there is more than almost 1,000 years difference between early Vedic period and the beginning of Indian art. So how this Indian art is connected to Vedic literature, they didn't have any answer, but I began to take interest in Vedic literature after reading Kumar Swami, and then I participated in a conference in Lubeck, and that's the place I met Professor Michael Vigil. Since then, I'm in contact with him, and that's the time, very first time we began to use email. I used plenty of email, and Professor Michael all the time responded to me. That's the way I learned a lot about Vedic literature. I knew classical Sanskrit literature, but I did not know much about Vedic literature. But I learned, this is a long distance guru-shishya relation, but it was very helpful in those days. Professor Michael Vigil, less busy, and I write email today, next day he responds to me. That's the way I learned a lot about Vedic literature. I'm very grateful to Professor Michael Vigil. Thank you.